Well, hello and welcome. And today is, International Day for Persons with Disability. And every 3rd December, this is marked worldwide. And indeed, Ghana, being that we've signed up to everything that there is going internationally, we sign up to it. May I say everything proper that's, treaty out there, we are signatory to it. So today we mark the day, and it's Inclusion Matters, Access for All Ability. That's the theme which was being perpetrated today. But you ask yourself, particularly this side of the world, why are we still talking about persons with disability as if they do not matter? And indeed, not only are we talking about, but we are acting as we speak. Access to their mobility, their access to job opportunity, access to basically, the national cake is zilch. 2% of every district common fund is supposed to be given to persons with disability within the area so they can fend for themselves. That doesn't come quite often. And when it comes, there's a photo op where they have to all line up. The ZCE comes with the meager money and then take a photo opportunity as if it is a favor being done on them. Parliament, all the way down. Every institution is supposed to have a disabled access. I'm sure the deadline is passed and no one has it, no one is enforcing it. You go to our ministries and persons who are dealing with persons with disability do not even understand. And instead of understanding, they give sympathy. And that's where we are today. I want to find out what happened today and what's the way forward. What is it that is going to let us change our course rather than just giving a lip service? And with me in the studio is Yao Ofori Deborah, who is the president of the Ghana Federation of the Disabled. My name is Nana Ansakwa. This is PM Express, and I'm passionate about this course. Stay tuned. We're going to have a conversation. Well, thank you very much for staying. Inclusion matters, access for all abilities. And that's what we are talking about today. And with me in the studio is Yao Ofori Deborah, President Ghana Federation of the Ghana Federation for the Disabled. And we're here to talk about our attitude. We're here to talk about the nation in per se. What are we doing to include everyone and give everybody the ability and empower them to also contribute their quota to this nation? And Yao, you're welcome.
Thank you, Nana.
How was the day marked, the anniversary? How was it marked?
Okay. Nana, before I come to that, let me give a little historical background to this day.
Sure.
In the year 1981, the UN declared that year as International Year of Persons with Disability.
Okay.
When that celebration was over, they created another decade from 1982 to 1992 as a decade for persons with disability. And the idea was that the UN wanted all governments, institutions, authorities, and everybody in policy making to take account of the needs of persons with disability so that we also live as people with the rights, people who actually have the natural right to also live as a human being. When the day was over, the decade was over, then this day, 3rd December, was declared as International Day of Persons with Disability, and it has been celebrated since. Today, the UN gave the theme as Inclusion Matters, Access and Empowerment of People of Different Abilities. This means that every segment of the humanity has some potentials.
Sure.
And those potentials must be harnessed to the benefit not only of, to the person, but as all people and as a nation, and so that everybody will feel part and parcel of the country or nation that you belong to. So this is the focus of it. And today we were in Parliament to hear message from Parliament. But the what we call it, the the Parliamentary Committee, Subcommittee on Social Welfare and State Enterprises made a statement to commemorate the day, and we went there to throw our weight behind them.
Good.
Again, we have been engaged in media conversations about disability so that the public will also get to understand the peculiarities of persons with disability.
Thank you. My next question I want to find out, have there been improvement in accepting and understanding people with disability in Ghana? I mean, generally, have we moved on as a people, or are we still stuck in ages?
Now, if we are doing comparative analysis over the decades, then we can say that there has been some level of improvement in terms of provisions for persons with disability, in terms of attitudes towards persons with disability. But I must also indicate that it has not reached a level where we can say that persons with disability are gaining their rightful places in society.
I mean, yeah, I can see you're blind. I walk on the pavement, and even as an able-bodied, but I can see. I mean, there's somebody selling their tomatoes, somebody selling their kiosk, somebody's parked their car, some mechanic is using it for their shop. So how do you move about? And they can, they can come today, so maybe today you walk on the pavement, it's fine, but tomorrow by the time you get there, it's a motorbike shop.
Yeah. Now we have been talking much about accessibility. And when we talk of accessibility, we don't even talk of built environment alone. We are talking about access to services. And let me take the accessibility, the built environment first. You realize that many blind people always work with children. And sometimes they have to work with their adult brothers and sisters and so forth. And the ill effect of it is that children that should be in school, they are helping blind people to move about. Sometimes adults who should be at work doing something, but they are compelled by circumstances to lead blind people to certain places, for example, hospital and other things. All this is happening because we have not created a favorable environment for the independent living of blind people. If you go to Europe, for example, you don't have gaping gutters. The drainage system is covered. And for that matter, a blind person knows that when he's moving on the streets, he has no fear of injuring himself or by falling into a gutter. Again, where we have streets, we have pavements, and to the extent that they have bicycle lanes and other things. So we have where pedestrians move, bicycles move, and vehicles move. So blind people will move without any need for calling somebody to their assistance. But here in Ghana and Africa, for that reason, I'm saying that these things are not happening. We have been doing a lot of advocacy around these issues, but it looks like nobody is giving us much attention. When the NY was being built, we raised issues, especially about crossing. They were putting up some overheads where overhead passes. They were not disability friendly. We raised the issue to the extent that we were obliged to take the issue to human rights court. And today, what they are telling us, that is the authority that is responsible for the NY, is telling us that they have all the drawings, but getting the money to push it into action is what their problem now. So that it means that somebody who is in government who should give money is not given. Now that we hear that the Malam one has been made friendly, but what are the other passes? If you want to move from La Paz to other points, how do you go as a blind person? Even those who have the sight, those who have the ability to move fast, are being knocked down every day. But what about the case of a person with disability? So the built environment is still not conducive for our independent living.
Yeah, see, even though not the president per se, but persons in authority, the ministers and stuff in charge, I mean, they've all traveled to these Europes that you are giving examples to. And I'm sure if you ask them, they will give you 1,001. What is it that we are unable to implement in your fight? What is the stumbling block?
Well, I believe that still people are living in the mindsets, their mental sets or their mindsets that was imparted to them by their ancestors. Let me put it roughly that way. Because it also beats my kind of comprehension that people have gone through the school system. Some of them have sat in classes with persons with disability. And when you are conversing with them, they attest to the innate abilities and the potentialities of persons with disability. But when it comes to the point that they have to take a decision, they are not informed by their own personal experiences. They exhibit the attitudes that our illiterate citizens or illiterate class will also show. You understand? So sometimes you find it difficult even to differentiate between the attitudes of the educated class and the illiterate class. As for the illiterate class, we can't forgive them because most of them are still living in the state of superstition. But what about those who have gone through the educational system to the highest point and they are still thinking like those in the illiterate class? And that is our issue. So until we will be able to make our way, it will depend upon change of attitude. And this is what Ghana Federation of the Disabled and the member organizations have been fighting for. We have been using our resources to be fighting this cause for a long time now. We are thankful to some authorities who are showing sensitivity to the plight of persons with disability. Sometimes you meet some of them and they are very, very sensitive, they are ready to. But the majority of people in positions of trust are not showing the character that will help reshape the destiny of persons with disability in the country.
How about churches and mosques? How are they helping?
Well, I can say that the churches and the mosques are operating on what I would term as the welfare or charity level of thinking. They think that the Bible or the Quran tells them to be charitable towards people who are needy, who are poor, who are weak, and so forth. So most of them, their interest is to gather some charitable items that they will shower on the people. But I must say that this is not bad in itself, but like the Chinese proverb we have been citing, if you give somebody fish, he will always depend on you. But if you teach the person how to fish, then the person will always go to the sea and fish for his living. So what we are appealing to the churches and the mosques is that it would be better if we begin to impart skills to the people to make their own economic living. And they should be supported. They should support those who have skills. Sometimes you can set them up and they will start from there. Some of them, they have gone through some vocational training and they have the skills, but they don't have the wherewithal to start their own businesses and their own livelihoods. So I think that instead of giving them occasional offers, we should be thinking of giving them skills, support them with funding and other capital to start their own.
I mean, I've had I've hosted a few guys on my show where the District Assembly Common Fund has been an issue in terms of disbursing. Has it gotten any better, or is there still a challenge on it?
Well, the 2%, yeah, the 2% Common Fund, as you know, started in the year 2005. That was when they did the evaluation of the growth and poverty strategy, strategy. You remember you have the GPRS, the growth and poverty reduction strategy. Yeah, we have the GPRS 1 and the GPRS 2. When the GPRS 1 started, it did not take account of the needs of persons with disability. So when they were doing the evaluation of the GPRS 1, then the Ghana Federation of the Disabled engaged the government of the day, and then they actually realized that what we were saying was true. So when they were evolving the GPRS 2, then they created this percentage of the Common Fund for persons with disability. This has been in practice for 10 years now. And some of the teething problems that we had with the management of the 2% Common Fund for persons with disability are still in place. And the reason, and then you may ask why. Because some of the these assembly authorities who exercise the duty over this thing are not happy about this one. Sometimes they ask themselves why such a amount should be given to persons with disability. But the idea originally is to help reduce poverty among persons with disability and to also support them to be independent. And also, again, they realize that it will also be good if you help to reinvigorate the organizations so that they can do a lot of advocacy for themselves.
Like, I mean, trading for skills or school fees, hospital
bills?
Yeah,
so what we did was, initially, they did not state what it should be used for. All that is said was that to support the initiatives of persons with disability. Okay. So GFD worked with the National Council on Persons with Disability and the Ministry of then Manpower and Social Welfare. Then we developed what we call the guidelines for the use. So in the guidelines, you support business, initiation of business, expansion of business, education, purchase of assistive technologies for persons with disability, health matters, and others.
I see. But and what's the challenge in this money not coming?
Well, as a matter of fact, the release of the money is always delayed, but it is in connection with the inability of the Ministry of Finance to release the Common Fund to the districts. So whenever the money or the funds are released to the districts, then we are also informed that ours is available. But of late, what we have realized is that they have set aside the 2% in different savings for us. But sometimes the districts will get theirs and ours will be delayed. But we have talked to the administrator about this. Sometimes he says he does not have the power over it, you understand? Sometimes it is the Ministry of Finance that delays. But we have worked over this. As of now, I can say that they have made the disbursements as to second quarter 2015. Meanwhile, 3 quarters were lost in 2014.
Wow.
Yeah.
Education.
Yeah.
I know there's a School of Blind in Akropong.
Yeah.
School for the Blind. Is there anyone else in the country somewhere else?
Yeah, we have a school for the blind in Wa, in the Upper West region. And now we have Adidomi.
Okay.
We have one also there.
And then for the
but
deaf?
when it comes to the deaf, in all the regions, we have schools for the deaf.
Okay.
And even schools for the mentally handicapped, those that people call the mental retarded. We have them like Jowolo and garden school for the mental retarded and so forth.
So is that getting better or?
Nana, you have been hearing of Conference of Heads of Special Schools always coming out to say that they are unable to reopen schools because, you know, they are 100% on grants. So if the government does not release money to them, they find it very difficult to open schools. And for the past 5 years, it has become a characteristic feature that every academic year, every reopening term, they have to keep their children at home until they get assurances that the money will be released. You understand? And some of the schools, because of charity that people give to them, sometimes they operate on charity almost the full term. When you go to the regional rehabilitation centers, that is under the Ministry of Social Welfare, that one is horrible because they are underfunded and they don't get anything. But that institution is for those who are beyond school-going age. Mm-hmm. If you become disabled in the course of your life and you have to be rehabilitated, that is the place you should go. But that is where we also neglect.
Is it that we, you know, maybe if you haven't had an accident before, you don't think that this thing will befall you? Because we seem to be quite ignorant about the issue.
Yes, I must indicate that many people think they are distantly away from disability, even though they realize that accidents are there, diseases are there, go to hospitals. You realize that people are getting disabled every day, go to the eye clinics, go to the accident units of the hospitals. And Ghanaians, because we don't have the habit of domestic tourism, we don't visit schools, places like schools for the blind and so forth. You realize that there are those who are nurses, teachers, those accountants who have become blind or disabled adventitiously, that is in course of their life, and they are being rehabilitated. If you see those people, you will talk to yourself that, it can happen to me any moment. Yes.
Now, the unemployed graduates, persons with disability, and I've had dealings with them. I, find it quite disheartening. I know you're also dealing with it.
Yes.
What is the challenge? Is it that they are not capable of working? They don't qualify to work? What is the issue?
Nana, to say it straightforward and straight away, they have, apart from the issue of attitude, that is attitudes of employers towards them, they have also been affected by freeze on employment. And for that matter, we are calling for national employment policy for persons with disability. If we don't do that, then persons with disability are going to be unemployed for a long time, because when few job opportunities open, they will not be considered. Those without disabilities would definitely take their priority, just because employers believe that if you are a person with disability, you will not be able to deliver so efficiently. That is their thinking. And that is what is actually impacting on us negatively in terms of employment. So what we are saying is that, one, the government should come out with employment policy on persons with disability. You see, our friends who have been threatening to go on demonstration against their lack of job opportunity for them, they have been moving to the Ministry of Employment. The minister have been giving them assurances that they are going to give them jobs. And I quite remember even before the State of the Nation address, GFD was with the minister. The minister appreciated the fact that they have to do something for persons with disability. So in the State of the Nation address, the president made mention that they are going to create about 100,000 jobs, and 5,000 jobs will be reserved for persons with disability. Since then, we have been working with the minister on this particular assurance, and he said they are working on it, and they are going to create, I think, 35 jobs within YEA. And 14 of them went for interview. They were told they have been given some appointments. But when Mr. Kwabano took over, and in our conversation with him, he told us that, yes, those people have been given that assurances, but actually he doesn't have even the jobs for them, because he has been asked to restructure, and he hasn't finished with the restructuring. He doesn't have budget for him to recruit more people. So that assurances from the minister is neither here nor there for the time being. But the minister also continues to assure the people that they are going to give them jobs in that area. So that gave them the suspicion that something is wrong somewhere, and they need to raise their voice for the good people of Ghana to also hear them and then support their cause.
But I mean, this has been dragging on for years. It's not as if it's just a few months. But some of them have finished school probably about 4 years ago.
Yes, they have been staying at home years now.
Let me just acknowledge Isaac Togun, who's with the ministry. Okay. Hello, Isaac.
Yes, sir.
Hello, Isaac.
Yes. Can you hear
Isaac Payson is a person with disability, so he probably has an advocacy office. Hello, Isaac, you're welcome.
Thank you.
Isaac, we are talking about the challenges facing you, and we're just on the point of the persons with disability who are graduates that can't get employed. What's your view of it, and what have you faced?
Well, it is a big challenge, in the sense that after school, they still have to face a lot of challenges to get employment, unlike their counterparts who most of the time get employment easily. I think it is something that we need, all of us, including government, need to pay special attention to. The whole thing came from the misconception of disability. Mm-hmm. If society thinks that disability is incapacitated, no matter how much clever you are or how much you perform while in school, when you come out, that wrong idea is still in the minds of human resource managers and organizations, and they are not likely to, they normally shine away from you, thinking that you are not capable. And another thing is they think that employing a person with disability is expensive, because they think that certain conditions need to be met. And I think that is not the issue. So this very issue that we are talking about now, we have the Unemployed Graduate Association, Unemployed Graduate with Disability Association. I think it is not speaking well about Ghana as a nation. And I think there is a need for government to really come out with some affirmative action to get this problem solved as soon as possible. That is what I think. Because the Federation has been doing its best to run what they call employment project, where they bring employers and persons with disability together to talk about employment. And out of that, some of them have gotten employment. If you go to Standard Chartered Bank, 2 of them have been employed there as a result of the employment project that the Federation has run. And if you go to OSAM, about 4 of them are employed there. So I think the Federation is playing a role, contributory role, that government must take the lead. That is what I can say.
I think, but whatever it is must be really, really ingrained, because if you look at how far civilization have gone and we are still battling like this, it must be strange.
Hello, can you speak a bit louder?
I was saying that it must be strange, because if we look at how far the world has moved on, and here we are stuck in our superstitions, it must be strange and very ingrained in us.
Yeah, it's really a very serious, because in most jurisdictions, for example, if you take Uganda, persons with disability get employment easily, and they are also put into government sectors a lot. For example, right from the parish level to the county to the district, regional, and national level, persons with disability are represented at every level, and they are paid. In every district, you have 2 persons with disability representing the person with disability. They are colleagues. At the regional level, the same thing. And even, and I think that Ghana has done something. I would say the government has done something that might need to be done, so that this should not be a problem. How many persons with disability even graduate from the university? Very few. And still, and the polytechnic and other things, but still they are having challenges. And I think that one of the issues that have not been particularly paid attention to is the lack of implementation of the pro-disability policies and legislation in the country. Because there are provisions for employment in all these legislation and policies. But if they are not implemented, it then means that they will remain as documents or theory, while persons with disability continue to wallow in despondency in search for employment. And that is one thing we must look at seriously.
Hold on for me. If you hold on for me, Isaac, let me come. You know, the president has announced that he's going to employ, I think, 5,000 people. That was in his speech. And also, he's also giving the decree that every region, should employ. What's going on with that?
Well, as I said, the president has given that in a State of the Nation address. And the minister has also given the assurance that they are going to implement it. Now, we are saying that they have to come out with practical steps to ensure that what they have stated in the State of the Nation address is implemented, because some of these things, it can be political statements. But we as advocacy organization, we are not going to allow this to stand as a political talk. So we have been bringing pressure to bear on the minister that they should do something about it. So presently, he has collected an employment policy or employment paper, position of paper from GFD, that he is going to ensure that they implement that strategic paper that we have given to him. So he collected this about 2 weeks ago. So from next year, we are going to ensure that they actually give themselves or they actually make good the assurances that they have given us.
Is it that they can't find the persons qualified in the regions? Maybe, let's say, Eastern, Western, maybe Central region cannot find a person with disability that can fill in a particular gap there?
That is not the issue, Dana. The issue is about their reluctance, in fact, employers' reluctance to actually give us employment because of what Isaac has already stated. Now, I visited Niger, and when I went there, in my interaction with the organizations of persons with disability, gave me a very pleasant experience. The president of Niger has decreed that at least 5% of every sector must take on persons with disability. Because of that, if you have your certification and your qualification, you will have job to do in Nigeria. And a good outcome of this policy is that all parents are sending their children with disability to school. Because as soon as you complete school and you have your qualification, you are guaranteed jobs. This is the type of policy that we want in Ghana. Other than that, we will continue to be tricked by these rhetorical assurances.
Let me hold on one second. I posted the question on Facebook, on WhatsApp, and these are some of the contents. This one says, it's a culture thing. Disability is associated with evil curses. That's my opinion. Western world, the majority sees it different. This is William Adu. And then this one is from Elom. Elom says, I think our mental count. We think they are in the condition because of evil, because evils committed by them or by their parent. There's a spiritual tone when it comes to disability, and this explains why. Our local movies explains it best. Also, they themselves look down upon themselves. And let me go to the next one. This is from our own Beatrice Edu in the newsroom, says it's unfortunate. And this is from Fifi Manfo. He says, sometimes it's despicable when it happens in front of you. And the question was, why do we treat persons with disability the way we do? Malik in Adenta says, hold on, I think it's because of fear. We are afraid of becoming disabled, hence avoid them and try to keep them away. That way we feel secure in our mind. He's asking, what do you think? I don't know. And let me take one. And then this one is from Francis Bynum. He says, because our society sees them as evil. It keeps coming up. Evil, 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 evil. Should we go to the schools and try and educate our little ones to, this one is from Frank Yeboah, says, because Africans believe disability is witchcraft. Is it worth listening to news or tuning into television these days? I mean, it keeps coming up. Yeah. And I mean, this is a wide range of comments coming from all over the world. And everybody seems to be associating that once it's a disability, you must have committed some sin in the past, or it's a payment or something. Why do we still believe that?
And then I also throw the rhetorical question that is it our education that has failed? Because those who are doing the discriminatory practices are those who have actually refined their mentality through education. They have gone through the academic exercises. They know what is good. They know what is scientific. They know what is superstitious. And for that matter, if they are clinging on to the idea that disability emanates from people's evil actions, so does it mean that the education that they went through failed to refine their mentality about some of these things, so they will continue to live in superstition?
Which, I mean, even though he says a rhetorical question, I says yes. I says yes. And somebody raised an issue here about the movies. Because any time you watch these movies, they would associate some evil, some witchcraft, some curse or something. So the education hasn't helped. Maybe your advocacy should now go down to the education.
Now we have spent a lot of money on sensitization and awareness creation. The organizations are there to do advocacy, to do sensitization, awareness raising, and so forth. We have been running documentaries. We have been in talk shows. We have published articles, and persons with disabilities are still there. Imagine when Dr. Dana was appointed as the Minister for Chieftaincy and Traditional Affairs. Imagine what happened. You understand? And it was coming from very top people who should
Some
know
even
better.
Chiefs.
You understand? Those who are leaders of the people, those who are to chart a new course for the people to follow, they were rather raising these suspicious ideas about disability. You understand? So my point is that all Ghanaians should join the persons with disability and their struggle to pave the way for persons with disability to be mainstreamed into society without any strength, because you don't know what happens to you tomorrow. I continue to stress that because I have moved to all the institutions. I have been meeting a lot of people who have now become persons with disability, and they never thought that it would happen to them.
I'm going to take a break here and come back. But this idea of, I mean, once you are already old and sat there and about to take your pen and make a decision, if you haven't been groomed to accept and make you understand that, you know, everybody is equal, are you then able to change your mind? Stay tuned, we're coming back. Well, welcome to this very important conversation, this mindset change conversation, if I may add. But then just before the break, I wanted to find out how difficult it is to change your attitude once you've been groomed a certain way. Because we seem to put a lot of, oh, there's no access to parliament, there's no access to this. But then they've gone through the system in the same old stigma thinking, you know, it's witchcraft, it's a curse, it's this, and then all of a sudden we expect them to be different people. Yeah, it's going to be tough.
Oh, well, Nana, the fact is that it is a war, but not a battle. So we'll be able to win the war, but we have to embark upon a lot of battles. Now, we have a number of legislative frameworks to support our rights. For example, we have National Policy on Persons with Disability, we have Disability Act 715, we have the Convention on the Rights of Persons with Disability. Now, it's a matter of enforcement of our rights. And now that we have these legal frameworks behind us, it's a matter of people also supporting us to test some of these laws at the court, so that the legal side of it will also help us to push the barriers down so that we have our access.
I have a couple of comments, which is quite new, that, oh, they themselves don't treat themselves well. So, you know, putting the blame back on you.
Yeah.
And therefore, if you don't treat yourself well, why do you expect somebody to come and treat yourself well? Are there enmities between persons with disability?
Nana, the whole thing is a psychological warfare. You are born into a family as a person with disability. You are treated with pity. You are handled as if you cannot help yourself. You are not given family resources. They will not take you to school. You understand? They feel that your siblings with that disability should rather grow up to take care of you. And for that matter, such a person, what are you helping him to develop of himself? Is low self-esteem, low confidence, self-confidence. You understand? And he will not grow up to even believe himself that he has potentials to nurture and grow it. You understand? So one, society, the way society treats persons with disability leads to the tendency for persons with disability to form low self-esteem of themselves. You understand? But so if you realize, those who have gone through the school system, those who have had the opportunity to get employment, to raise families and so forth, they are recognized by their family. Some of them are breadwinners. Without them, the family would not go. You understand? Some are playing important roles in their church and mosque institutions. Some are senior officers in their rights. You understand? If you go to, let's say, Ministry of Justice, we have a senior state attorney. We have a lady who is also a state attorney. Go to various secondary schools. We have persons with disability, even visually impaired, teaching people. You understand? Mm-hmm. And for that matter, such category of persons with disability, you cannot say that they are low self-esteem people. Mm-hmm. They have confidence. They are taking care of their families. They are even contributing to national development through the payment of their taxes. For example, I am a teacher. I work with the Ministry of Education as a guidance and counseling coordinator. You understand? Mm-hmm. And I pay not less than 350 every month to the tax, what do we call it? The tax kitty of government. You understand? Every month. And how many people without disabilities are doing this? Yeah. So my point is that let us create an enabling environment for persons with disability. They will have self-confidence. They will contribute to societal growth. And they will be playing a utilitarian role in society.
I mean, talking about teacher, my good friend Yao, Yao Assuming, who's also blind, and he's gone through Legon, he's finished Legon, I think about 4 or 5 years this, and he just wants the opportunity to go to the classroom to teach. Yeah. And I find it disheartening that, you know, for 4 or 5 years, this opportunity has eluded him, but in the same breath, teachers are short, and I know this employment freeze, but when somebody retires, are you not allowed to replace a retired person?
Well, the policy now is they are replacing.
Okay.
Actually, they are replacing. But you know what? In Ghana, when there is a freeze of employment and you have a policy like replacement, the tendency is for people to sell it. Because now, somebody, 2 or 3 people are going on retirement in a particular department or district. And many people are fighting for this vacancy. You may get 100 and 200 people, and you get 1 or 2 persons with disability within this group. Do you think they will have their way? It's most likely not. Mm-hmm. Because I work with Ghana Education Service, I know what is happening. You understand? Mm-hmm. So that's why I'm saying that if indeed the government is committed to employing persons with disability, these are some of the opportunities that should be reserved for persons with disability. Because they are there, and we have people in various institutions.
Yeah, but the numbers you're talking about, I mean, I keep saying 50, but I know they're about 34. But let me peg it at 50. I mean, that's not a huge number, is it? I mean,
they are more than that. In fact, that was the group that came together
to
raise their voice, to raise concerns. You understand? But those who are seeking employment, there are many. In fact, this time, Nana, I will challenge you, or I will challenge Joy FM and Joy TV, to make it a point to go to the various universities. And you realize that those who have been coming out, even this next year, even blind people alone in Lagos, you may get not less than 30 of them. Go to Cape Coast, you will get not less than that number. And every year, we churn out numbers around that figure. So you can imagine those who are at home.
I see. So these 50 are just those who came together to fight.
Those who have come together to raise issues.
I see. But still, I mean, even though, I mean, maybe I'm too passionate on this cause, but I still think the nation should be able to absorb these numbers. I mean, it's not numbers that are not controllable.
Yes.
And we should be able to absorb them. Again, are they doing courses that are, useful to the state? Or?
Nana, when it comes to persons with physical disability, unlike the blind people, they are not restricted. They do a lot of things. Some of them engineers, some of them accountants, some of them all manner of skills they have. That's those who are physically disabled in the legs, hands, and so forth. When it comes to the blind, in fact, we are restricted in our scope of choice of subjects. So a lot of us, we do the what we call the humanities.
Yeah.
So political science, we do religion, we do law, we do all those things.
History.
You understand? That is why if you take 100 blind people, at least 97 to 98 of them are teachers.
Sure.
You understand? Yeah, because that is where you get them getting employment and so forth, and that is actually the most possible employment that we always get. But that does not mean that we cannot do other things. For example, if you go to ETV, there's a blind person there who finished Cape University, and he's now employed as a TV news reader. We go to GBC. We have a friend there who is also doing some programs there. You understand? And I think that the private sector is also not doing much to help the matters.
Not at all.
Because I believe that, for example, instead of thinking of yearly organization of parties and other things for persons with disability and so forth, why won't you give them jobs? Even this reception job. Reception. Those are the reception. They are easy jobs for persons with disability to do. You understand? So I think that the private sector too must come up with on course, so that we all join hands together to solve this daunting problem that is.
You think it should be policy driven? That look, a certain quota, maybe 1% or 2% of your staff should be, a person with disability.
Yeah, that is what we have been calling for, a quota system for us. Because if we don't do that, and we leave it to the discretion of employers, we will always be at a disadvantage.
Well, all too soon, that's what time would allow us. I've been talking to Mr. Yao Ofori-Debra, President, Ghana Federation for the Disabled, talking about the plight of disabled people on this side of the world. And I hope that in the next 2-3 years, we would be thinking far, far different. There will be nothing stigmatic or curse or evil about it. Yao, thank you so much for coming.
And I thank you very much. Our last appeal is to all corporate bodies. You must support Ghana Federation of the Disabled. We are doing a lot of good for persons with disability, but we lack resources. We depend on our organizations in Europe. But this time, because of the refugee program in Europe, they are also not getting much from their government to also help us.
Another shameful part. We should help our own. Shouldn't depend on ourselves. Tomorrow we're back to do this all over again. Thank you for watching.